We had 300 head of Angora goats. We had 100 head of sheep. Jenny, my wife, wanted to start hand spinning because she had all this fiber running around out there in the field. And she started hand processing it and everything, decided this was a lot of work, and so we looked into sending it off to a mill. Then we got the bright idea, we decided we would look into starting our own mill. And so we went out and we got our own machine and everything, and it just kept growing from there.
We originally were going to do this as a little weekend project for something him and I to do together as a couple project for the weekend. Now it's no longer a weekend project, it was a week project.
What started out as a hobby has grown into an international business.
Our customers are individuals who own just a small flock, a small herd. Could be sheep, could be Angora goats, could even be somebody with some longer-haired cattle. Alpacas and llamas are probably close to 20% of our business at this point.
I have 2 alpaca males, they're gelded, and 2 Angora goat does. When I shear, an alpaca generally will give you, depending on the size of the alpaca, 10 to 14 pounds. A goat, generally under 10 pounds of usable fleece. I find that if I send my fleeces to Kent, who is knowledgeable and he knows how to wash them and treat them and condition them, I can get the best product I can at the end.
The process begins by checking to see if the fleece is sound enough to be handled. If so, it then goes into the wash.
After that, it's put on a drying rack where it's forced air dried but never heat dried. It then goes on to a picker where the picker opens the fleece up and drops out a lot of the vegetation and the dirt, but it's only making small clumps out of big clumps. It then goes on to a carding machine.
The whole principle behind carding is to break the individual fleece down to an individual fiber and do it as slow as possible. As it goes into the feed rollers in the back part of the carding machine, the teeth are very large. The teeth will get smaller as it goes through the machine. None of these cylinders touch each other. The work is done in an air gap between all of the cylinders. Every time it goes under a set of workers and strippers, there's carding action taking place, and the individual fibers will be separated more and more as it goes up and over the top of the machine. The last cylinder, called the doffer, will grab it, bring it back around underneath so that it can be drawn out to the side, and this is roving for a hand spinner.
Using a spinning wheel, roving is made into single-ply yarn. From there, it's up to the artist. Early 1900s technology is used in the mill. Some of the machines are from 1916 and 1924, and they need a little help getting started.
The older technology actually lends itself to what we do because it's actually slower. A modern carding machine just runs way too fast, and it's also way too expensive. When they break down, you fix them. But for the most part, you have to be able to fix them in-house, and you have to be able to fix them as fast as you can because you don't have a lot of spares sitting around. What spare parts we do have, we use them quite frequently, and we have to make a lot of our own parts.
The largest carding machine Ohio Valley Natural Fibers has is over 50 feet long and weighs 20 tons.
As it goes in this part of the machine, it comes in as a flat sheet that we call a web. It's split into 96 little strips. It goes through a series of rub aprons, and it comes out as roving, but it's a different kind of roving for high-speed spinning. This is a very small, delicate roving that'll be made into a single strand of single-ply yarn.
Then those 96 ends of roving will go on to a spinning frame. Spinning frame is where the twist is put into the roving. We will do 96 bobbins of single-ply yarn at one time. It'll all be on a single bobbin then for each one of those individual strands. Then each one of those bobbins will go on to the cone winder, where a cone is made of each bobbin. Because the twister can't handle a bobbin, it has to have it on a cone.
This is the final step in making yarn. This is called the twister. This is the machine that makes the finished plied yarn. As it comes down through the guides and through the top rolls, it is being put together, twisted into the opposite direction that it was spun in. There's approximately 7 to 8 twists per inch being put in here so that we can make a lace weight yarn. This is actually the finished yarn. It just came off of the twister. There are 2 ways that it goes back to the customer. It goes out of here on cones if it's going to be used by a weaver or a machine knitter. The other way is in scanning, which we'll do by taking it off of these cones after they're completely full. Scanning is the way that a hand knitter would like to have her yarn presented to her.
When I get my fleece back, it's unspun. It's got barely enough twist to hold it together, but you would kind of attenuate it a little bit, and you get a whole big basket full of this wonderful fluffy stuff, and you set it next to your wheel, and you spin it, and you make your yarn. I make clothes for myself and for my family. I make things that I want to wear, and those would be the socks, hats, gloves, scarves, sweaters I save for home projects.
The interest in natural fibers is people are getting to the point where they're wearing it and they can tell the difference. When you wear the synthetics, you can feel the difference between that and a real nice wool product or even a wool and mohair product.
It's grown slowly but steadily. The future for us is we can get as big as we possibly want. As far as the processing business, we're happy with where we're at right now.
In order to get a good agricultural business or an agribusiness, you really have to love what you do. And I think that's one thing that Kent and I developed over the years. We really love what we do. We love our customers. We're still very enthusiastic about the products. I tell our customers all the time, you're only limited by your imagination when it comes to natural fibers.